Good day, Tamers. Welcome back to another episode with me, Agita Swiftly, and it is fantastic to be back. 2 episodes in a week. Yes, the schedule has been resolved a little bit. And just you, Tamers, this is going to be more of an interesting slice of what the BT8 version of the structure deck will look like. And I say this because obviously here in the English side of things, we are stuck in a world where Bandai think it's the reason why they release structure decks in between sets in our region. If you didn't really know, if you've never really looked at the Japanese meta, the reason is because they introduce new abilities or keywords, and then their meta doesn't get as stale as it does elsewhere. So obviously for those of us that have had these long extended periods of metas where was it in America like nearly 6 months of BT5, and we had a long extended meta of BT6. Not as long as America had BT5, but still. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to the channel, as we would like to get more views and get more people into the channel. Hopefully I'm going to get more stuff done. With everything being pushed back with the official announcement now of pre-releases and release standards, I will try to do a vlog of the pre-release I'm going to go to. Also for those of you who are living in the European region, if you haven't already, send in your request to be lotteried into the Ultimate Cup if you haven't already, if you don't already have a ticket. I know some people were very lucky and got their tickets, but the rest of us are hopefully to get into it. And also they're currently requesting judges, and those who aren't judges can request to take the judge test. So if that's what you're interested in, then also have at it. I myself am interested in becoming a judge. If you didn't know, I run the online events for a couple of different places. One is Griffin's Gaming's. If you ever want an online tournament and you live in the UK or an online pre-release, let us know. We're happy to do them there. And there will be an event on the 7th of May for a winner box BT8, as well as I think on the 6th we are going to do a pre-release of the BT8 as well. That's down to if we can get stuck in for the 6th. So let's get on with the video. So for our choice of babies, there's really only 3 choices you can have for this deck, and in all fairness, I think you're going to want to go for either the BT2 Demi Veemon or the BT3 Demi Veemon. And I'm going to pick Demi Veemon BT3 times 4, and then one of the other Demi Veemons. The Demi Veemon from the original structure deck, the BT8. ST8 is pretty cool, but how often are you going to want to have 8 cards in your hand? Yes, there's lots of draw power in this deck. Yes, there's lots of getting cards out of the stack, but at the same time, you're probably going to want the jamming on the draw more than you're going to want the hoping to get an extra 1000 DP. Last first, same as the first Tamers, we're back on the Veemon stuff. So if you don't like Veemon, yeah, these last 2 decks are going to be really painful for you. But we do get to see the lovely Veemon from BT8 itself, which is the on-play effect of reveal top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 2-color card amongst them to your hand, place remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Now, unlike in the last deck preview we did, which was essentially this is armor support, this is all Digimon heroes, this deck is looking for your level 5s, your level 6s, it's basically your ladder searcher now. Now, it's a fantastic card. Don't disagree with anyone who says this isn't a fantastic card. It's definitely this deck. It does help out the structure deck, which is why this is the new revamped version of the structure deck. After this, it does depend on you how you want to work this deck yourself. Just remember that the inheritance effect of this Veemon is not once per turn, and that is the 2000 DP free cost Veemon from the ST8 structure deck. Yes, boys and girls, we went from ST8, which was a All-Force Veemon deck, into ST9, which was a Imperialdramon structure deck, because why not? But again, this card's just fantastic during the punching things and slapping things around, because we love violence and gore. But yeah, the whole when attacking thing is not once per turn, so if you do essentially start getting weak on the old hand, you've got this in your breeding area, move it out, evolve it up into the level 4 jamming X Veemon, and then, you know, free hit, get yourself a draw, evolve, unsuspend, swing again, evolve, unsuspend, swing again. There's a lot of unsuspending and drawing and swinging and murdering in this. I think this is at minimum a 3-turn kill deck. I think there's rumours of it being a 2-turn kill deck, which I can see being possible, but that does rely on you having a very good hand and your opponent's giving you a little bit too much memory on the first turn. So if they go first, they give you... what is it now? What they have to do? So if they give you 4, you can build up a little bit, put stuff on the field, swing out, evolve into your level 5, swing it again, evolve into your level 4, pop your level 4s back out, evolve into your Imperialdramon. Hopefully you've got memory left, because I don't know how you're going to do this without the memory. And then, yeah, go crazy. Luckily, because it's DNA Digivolution, it's 0 costing for memory, so there's a good chance that you can be in a good situation or a good place where you aren't being essentially memory choked. But that doesn't mean that you can't be memory choked in the first place. But no, I think this deck does have the ability to just swing, and then swing some more, which isn't always the worst thing in the world, but it's pretty unique. Then we're going to move over to the next Veemon, and that is the Veemon from ST9, which is the structure deck of Veemon. It's going to be here. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with 3 in its traits amongst them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. This is just, again, perfect in this deck because every single Digimon in this deck is a free typed Digimon. What does that really mean? It just means that this Veemon will literally search your whole line of Digimon. So if you're looking for something and you're scared that you're going to miss it, if it's there, you can pick it up. And then last but not least, for the Veemons, we get the cool looking jamming Veemon. Again, what I said before, if you can get this down early enough and you can swing for free, and then you can evolve it up later on, especially if you let you evolve and then unsuspend, it's that also has jamming. It's really good. But that's enough for these Veemons. Now this is where we get a little bit different from the last deck, and that is we're going to play actual level 4 Digimon that can Digivolve freely, no pun intended. That is our X Veemon here. This is the one with jamming, but it also gives any of your free traded Digimon jamming. And that's why this is really good in this deck, because having access to any card that essentially will let you punch into any Digimon in security and not feel a thing is fantastic. It does obviously ignore the security effects of Digimon that you hit, so things like Kakirimon, as well as Defeat, will still trigger their security effects, but you don't have to worry about being slapped around the face for no apparent reason. Our next Digimon here is going to be Stingmon, and this is when you would play this card from your hand. If you have a blue Digimon in play, reduce its play cost by 1, so it becomes a 4 costing 4000 DP level 4. That is fantastic, it is great. This has the inherent effect of, when attacking, if you have a blue Digimon in play, draw 1. Now, dual colour cards are both of their colours, so if you have Imperialdramon, for instance, or Veemon, they're both green and blue, or blue and green. You do get that. And obviously in the future, you do have access to the Imperialdramon, which again is a blue and a green. You do have access to Fighter Mode, which is again blue and a green, but you will be getting access to draws. And also, this is not a once per turn effect, same as the Veemon, so you can just draw your deck out basically. I don't know if there's a chance of you ever drawing your deck out to kill yourself in this deck, but you could do it if you wanted to. Just to make it fair, you do play the X Veemon from the ST9 deck as well, and this is the exact same effect as Stingmon, except instead of a blue Digimon, it's a green Digimon to reduce its cost by 1. And that would be a free cost level 4 for 4000 DP again. But when attacking is, if you have a green Digimon in play, this Digimon gets 1000 DP for the turn. Now, the X Veemons that are in this deck that I've put in here are just fantastic in slot. I don't think you really care about any of the other X Veemons, because the other X Veemon that's good is it unsuspends a level 4 or lower Digimon. Which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic, but it's just not as fantastic as what both of these can do. Now, the big difference here for us is the fact that we want level 5s in this deck more so than not. That's because they're both fantastic. So the first one we'll look at today is Veemon, which is Digivolves from a blue and a green, but now, cost you 0 to Digivolve. When Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. When DNA Digivolving, that Digimon doesn't unsuspend during its owner's next unsuspend phase. Now, on inherited effect, this is when this Digimon, your turn, this Digimon gets 1000 DP for each of its colours. So, as you'll be playing Imperialdramon, as you'll be playing Fighter Mode Imperialdramon, they're going to get probably 2000 extra DP just for being alive. Now, I just think this is a really good card. It's not the mainstay of the deck, but it's very good if you're going to go with the stack. But the main big bad boy is Imperialdramon. If you've already seen the other video, you know how good this card is already, but if you don't, DNA Digivolution 0 from 1 blue and 1 green, and that is Digivolve unsuspended, Digivolve unsuspend with the 2 specific Digimon stacked on top of each other. So for those who don't know, it goes in colour order. So your blue Digimon, or the Digimon that you're classing as blue, goes underneath first, and then the green one will go underneath the blue one, and that's your stack now. When DNA Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less to the bottom of the owner's deck. This is really good against purple decks, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be giving them just free trash. And when attacking once per turn, spend this Digimon. This is why this deck is so scary, because all you want to do in this deck is just go swing, unsuspend, swing, unsuspend, swing, unsuspend. How this will work, if my brain works correctly, if you've got the memory for it, you will swing with your X Veemon with jamming, it hits into security, doesn't die. You will then Digivolve up into Imperialdramon. It will unsuspend because you DNA Digivolved into it. You'll swing with it again. Because you swing with it, you will then unsuspend. You'll swing again. That's 3 times already this turn. If you've got the memory for it, you can then Digivolve into Imperialdramon, which I'm pretty sure will unsuspend again because of your tamer. We'll get to that later. And then after that, that's 4 swings. So if you've got anything else in the field, we've got enough memory to maybe put some text in here. So if you want to go a Lobomon or an Arbomon in this deck, you could do if you want to. I'm not saying you should. You can then swing again. I'm pretty sure Fighter Mode will unsuspend. So if you've got the memory for that, you can then just do that. And then if you really wanted to, because this will have that tech in it, you can then evolve into a Blitz Omnimon for a swing number 6. So this deck could just punch out on turn like 2 or 3 depending on how much memory you have. This deck is very scary. This deck is very fun, not necessarily for your opponent. Now this brings us to Imperialdramon Dragon Mode. Now, I'll be fairly honest here, I didn't rate this very well because I really love the Imperialdramon from BT3 because I just think the whole unsuspending when you evolve from an Imperialdramon is just like thousands of times better. I also think that the effect you could have with the old Imperialdramon, where you'd get to unsuspend if you had Imperialdramon in your name, was also hundreds of times better. But, hear me out, after reading the card, I can see why it's so good. And that's when Digivolving, you would play 1 level 4 or lower blue Digimon card, and 1 level 4 or lower green Digimon card from this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying their memory costs. Now, the reason why this is good is because what you do is you remove your Stingmon, you remove your ex-Veemon, and then you just put them into a new Imperialdramon for free, for 0. Now, as far as I'm aware, that doesn't make them, the original 2, not have summoning sickness or downloading or buffering or whatever you want to call that version of the term, because there's not technically one, just you don't swing for the first turn. I'm not sure if DNA Digivolving removes that effect. I think it does, because DNA Digivolution is a really weird thing that kind of messes with a lot of other things in this game. But yeah, blue-green Imperialdramon Dragon Mode is just a fantastic card. And if you're playing with the new Davis and Ken, you unsuspend on this Digivolution, which means you can swing again. And then you move into your other level 6, which is Fighter Mode. Now that is, you can Digivolve for 2 if it contains Dragon Mode in its name. So obviously you just evolve from Dragon Mode into Fighter Mode. On Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with 10,000 DP or less to its owner's hand. And then when attacking once per turn, if a blue card is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, unsuspend one of your Digimon. And then, if a green card is in this Digimon's Digivolution, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It's up to you what you want to do, so you'd have to swing with the last one. You can wait until you go into Fighter Mode, use Ken to then unsuspend, swing with Fighter Mode. Because it'll have a blue card's Digivolution cards, you can unsuspend when it swings, so you can swing a 3rd time, and then that would be game for this. Now, there's 2 choices for your level 7 slot. When one of your Digimon will Digivolve this card, in your hand, you may return 1 white level 7 Digimon card from your trash to the bottom of your deck to reduce the Digivolution cost by 4, making it a free cost Digivolution, which is pretty good when Digivolving and when attacking, but this is a once per turn, so if you can somehow unsuspend yourself, you can do more fun things. You may return 1 2-colored card from this Digimon's Digivolution cards to the bottom of your owner's deck to trash all of the Digivolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon. Then, return all of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the bottom of your owner's deck in any order. It sounds really cool, and I do think it's a good card. I just think it's really costed, and you have to hope for the best. I think a lot of people feel like this card should be better, and to some degree I do agree it should be better, but you don't want to make cards too powerful. But what I do think is better than this is Blitz Omnimon, because Blitz Omnimon is a goddamn beast. And here's the thing, Fighter Mode is both blue and green, which means you can evolve into Omnimon because it needs a red or a blue card. You get to choose if it's green or a blue Digimon, and you're choosing it's a blue Digimon. So you Digivolve into this, you can unsuspend, you can then swing out with Blitz because you'll probably go into your opponent's turn, and that's 6 hits in one foul swoop of being an arsehole. Now, if an opponent's effect would delete this Digimon or return it to its owner's hand or deck, you may prevent that by leaving play by trashing a level 6 Digimon card in this Digimon's Digivolution cards. Now, depending on how you want to do this, you'll probably want to go Imperialdramon into Fighter and then into Omnimon. And when you do that, obviously, you'll have 2 level 6s that you can mess around with to like bypass or ignore this effect twice. This is down to you how you want to do this. I just think that Omnimon is a better choice for winning games than it is Paladin mode, because I just feel like Paladin mode is more of a I can't quite win, I'm just going to stall kind of card. Whereas Blitz, I think, is that I've hit 5 security, I just need to finish the game. So most people only really want to run Paladin mode at 1 anyway. So what I've said before is have Omnimon as your second level 7, so you have one of each. If you really wanted to, I would personally say that Blitz Omnimon is probably going to always be a better Digimon card for finishing games and probably being just more effective, even if it just makes a person block. It's still very effective. But having one of each or having 2 Paladin modes would help you with the effect of, like, you know, costing 4 less to Digivolve into Paladin mode. Obviously you get the Digivolution effect, but then it's your opponent's turn. And if you don't stop them from winning the game, there's a good chance they'll win the game. Whereas with Blitz Omnimon, if you can win the game, you're just going to win there and then. But that's my personal choices when it comes to level 6s and level 7s. For the Tamers, as before, the new Davis and Ken card is fantastic. So like your main phase, if you have a blue Digimon in play, you gain a memory. If you have a green, you gain another memory. Obviously, it works either or, so if you have one or the other, you gain a memory. So, you know, you can start off with 2 extra. And then your turn, when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a Digimon with 2 or more colours, you may suspend this Tamer turn, suspend your Digimon. Again, you can do this to Imperialdramon. You can do this to Imperialdramon Dragon Mode. You can do this to Imperialdramon Fighter Mode. You have multiple options of how you want to do this and when you want to do this. You can also do it to Dino Beamon, because keep getting Dino Beamon in this deck. Very sorry, Dino Beamon. But yeah, this card's fantastic in this deck. You're unsuspending at least once per turn with this card if you have access to it. If not, maybe you have access, or maybe you have 2, so you can do it twice. The possibilities are endless if you just go crazy. But then you also want to play the original Davis from BT3, which is if you have 2 or less memory, go to 3. And if you don't know how this works, when you start your turns, you get to choose how your start of turns actions sync. So you start your turn, you go into the Davis, that will give you 3 memory, and then you go into the Davis and Ken, that will give you an additional 2, that'd be 3 memory. And then after that, with Davis on play, with all top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 blue and 1 green Digimon amongst them to your hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. There's no doubt these are the 2 best Tamers for this deck, and to be honest, they're probably some of the best Tamers in the game currently. Now, I have heard people say that they want to think about playing Mimi. Mimi is perfectly fine because all of your 5 and plus cards are green. Makes sense to me that you want to play an egg more often, so you can get your stuff circling more, so you can get more stuff on the field, so you can just be more aggressive as it is. It's down to you what you feel is more aggressive, especially for those people who don't have access to Davises right now. And Davis is going to become an expensive card because it's not going to get a reprint until, well, it's meant to get a reprint in ST 12 and 13, which is the Jesmon deck and the Ragnar Luard deck. The issue is we've basically been shown already that we're getting a premium deck, which is all the decks put together, and we get the option cards that are alt arts that came out for a competition last year in Japan. I believe it came out last year in Japan, it could be very early this year. So the issue is we don't know where we get access to the Davis reprints. Now, this could be a BT10 box topper that we get as an additional box topper. It could be a dash pack. It could be in BT8 9 as an additional box topper. They might sell it to us as a alt art card thing that they want to do with Premium Bandai. We don't know. So, for those of you who are having access issues to Davis, Mimi isn't terrible. She's actually quite good. And it does make sense to a degree that if you don't really need the searching power and it still stays consistent, then Mimi is a good secondary choice for Davis. Now it's time for the option cards, and this is where things get a little bit funky because this is really down how you really like your decks. Personally speaking, I'm going to put 1 hidden potential discovered in here because, let's face it, that makes doing half the things in the deck so much easier. You can go into your Imperial mode. You can go into your Imperialdramon Dragon mode for 0 costing as long as you can suspend something. So, for instance, you tap a Stingmon that you just brought out from the stack. You suspend your Imperialdramon that you've just unsuspended during its attack phase. Hit that down, throw that onto your Dragon mode. Hit the Davis and Ken that could be in play, unsuspend that, and then maybe evolve into Fighter mode and carry on being a crazy person. You could also use it for evolving into one of your level 7s. So if you wanted to have a 0 costing Omnimon because you just want the unsuspend effect, then you want to swing in because you have more plays to make, that's also cool. You'll also help with a Paladin mode because it's a 7 cost, so reducing it by 5 is really good, so spending 2 is fantastic, as you probably won't have access to the other level 7 white card in your trash. I mean, it could be hiding in your security, you could be very lucky. This deck doesn't have any way of trashing from your hand as far as I'm aware, so it would be very awkward otherwise to find it. The next things in here is your memory boosts. Now it's down to you how you want to do this. Personally speaking, I think having the blue memory boost is probably the best because the only thing you're not searching for is the Stingmons then. and we'll get onto something else a little bit later on after we finish doing the option cards. So you're probably looking at having Hammer Sparks in here as well, same as the last deck, just because memory is key to these kind of decks where you just want to be able to like just throw everything from your hand onto the field. You've got multiple ways of getting more cards back when you attack, so you're not really hurting so much for cards in hand, which makes this deck very powerful. The other thing you want to have here as options is either going to be something like a Lightning Blade, which we saw yesterday. You do have to have a green Digimon in play, or the Ken and Davis Tamer card, I believe, because it only really ignores its colour requirements if you have a armour-based Digimon on the field. Whereas in this case, because your deck is going to be somewhat half green anyway, it's not terribly upsetting to not find that or have access to the Tamers in this game. Having the ability to have piercing as well as gaining DP is really good, especially in a deck that might not have access to piercing, and blockers are going to be an issue for this deck. Because what you're about is essentially what Imperialdramon been about for the last two-ish sets? XCX1? Yeah, 2 sets, which is essentially just most of my things are just going to punch into your security. They're all Digimon, so I don't have to worry about that. Obviously, now that we're in a less of a security control meta, that's a bit more prevalent. But the issue with that is if everyone starts playing armors and Imperialdramons, it's going to go back to being a security control meta, which I can foresee. It's going to be really crappy. That being said, I think that your option of choice for removal will be Megadef, because I think Gigadef is just too expensive for what it does. Because how is your opponent going to have 10 things on the field that are all suspended that hasn't killed you yet? Is the main thing. But I do think that Megadef is just really good. 5 casting, it suspends a Digimon and then bounces a Digimon that's suspended. It's basically, there's a level, I think there's a 7 cost or there's a 6 cost that does the same thing. So for 5, it's just a better version of that card. And then that's kind of it for your option cards. If there's something you wanted to tech in, you can do whatever you think might be best. I think Doctor's Prefacing, because they like the idea of bouncing things from hand. But again, I'd just rather have the Megadefs. It's 2 cost cheaper. You do have to have a blue and a green Digimon in play. But since half of your Digimon in the upper echelon are going to be blue and greens, you're going to see it anyway. You also have access to having the Ken and Davis on the field that will also activate that card's effect as well. Now for Spicy Tech, and I already put the Omnimon in there. And it's not really supposed to take, it's more the fact that you didn't see Wormmon. Now Wormmon has the inherited effect of that at end of turn you can DNA Digivolve into a level 5 Digimon. So what this does essentially is if you're playing some other stuff and you just need to figure out how to make this work, you throw your stuff into the wind, you know, you go into your opponent's turn, because you evolve into something that's going to cost like 1 or 2, whatever, so it goes to your opponent's turn. You can then, on that end step, you can then Digivolve into Imperialdramon, and it's a little less effective or a little less aggressive. And then if there's something on the field on your opponent's side that they're going to swing with, you can suspend it so they don't get to unsuspend. And that's really how that really works. If you want to do that, you don't have to. Again, you can play 4 Veemons, you can play 3 Veemons and the Wormmon. Test things out. You do have a local, so you do have an online place that you can play. Just test everything out that you fancy. We already spoke about Mimi. Again, that's more the fact if you don't have access to your Davises because you didn't want to play Davis before, or you've not been a blue player, you need everything to pick any of these up when they were cheaper, because for the longest time Davis was like a £3 card at most. It's only really been the last like month or so where it's like shopped like a £10+ card now, because it's just hard to find because people want to play blue hybrid, DNA decks, or the hero decks, as I call it, the armor decks. But that should be it for today, guys. If there's anything you can think of, leave in the comments. Thank you for being here. As always, we do appreciate your support and your viewage, and just knowing that there's people out there that come to look at us for entertainment and knowledge. As I like to think I know what's going on in the game. I don't know everything, obviously. I've not become #1 champion yet. Give it time. There's always a chance. I will be going to Gamescom in the NEC in Birmingham, technically Solihull because it's owned by Solihull. From Solihull originally, so I'm quite proud of having the access to the NEC as actually a Solihull product, as well as the Birmingham airport is also in Solihull. But anyway, thank you for being here, guys. See you guys later. Safe. Peace out, and just keep on playing. Just try and stay safe though, yeah? We're still living in an uncertain world. But hopefully I'll be back to you guys with maybe a yellow-purple deck. Hopefully soon. But yes, we'll see you soon. Have fun. Peace out. Bye.